Hey everyone, welcome back to Metal Shop Steve. I'm Steve. So today's video is something that I've been thinking about since I first started the channel. It's a big one for me. It's one that's caused me a lot of stress here and there and great pleasure as well, as probably most of the best things in life should. Today's video is Motorhead. All right. So those of you who are not that familiar with Motorhead, just to let you know, they have about 22 studio albums, not to mention other semi-studio albums and a whole bunch of live recordings, and just really a lot of material to pick through. And the one thing that I'll say before I even get started is they are such a consistent band. At least they were, as you probably all know, the iconic lead singer of the band, Lemmy, passed on a few years ago, and he's missed, and certainly the sound of the band is missed as well. Anyway, that being said, it took me a lot of time, and I've gone through this over and over and over again. What I'm planning on doing was giving you kind of like my Fast Five, like I usually do, top 5 Motorhead albums. Easier said than done, because again, they have so much great music and so much consistency. So again, here is going to be just my best effort to give you the best of Motorhead. I still try to keep it to my favorite 5 albums, although I don't think there's really any way that I can rank them from 1 to 5. So I think we're just going to go with it. First of all, I want to bring back this guy. You saw him before, little Lemmy. He's a little Funko Pop, and I love him, and he is going to be watching over my video here today. So Lemmy is going to sit down here and watch me. Also, want to let you know that I just finished reading this, the Lemmy autobiography, White Line Fever. He co-wrote this with Janice Garza, and I've got to tell you, it is a pretty comprehensive book. For a guy who did a lot of drugs, he seems to, at least at this point when he was doing the book, he remembered every detail about every gig, every album, every bandmate, really that he's ever played with. And, you know, there's a lot of humor to the book. He seems like he actually was a pretty good guy. Don't know him personally, can't vouch for that. But he partied hard, he rocked hard, and he had a lot of great stories to tell. So I highly recommend that book, again, if you're looking for a good read. So anyway, let's just go ahead and get to the music. I did go very thoughtfully through all of the albums. I went back through one by one, listened to every track on all the albums, just to make sure that I was going to get this right today. So here is what I've come up with. I'm going to give you my top 5, and then I'm going to give you a couple of honorable mentions that very easily could have made my top 5 as well. I guess just for the sake of doing this, I'm going to go in chronological order. So one of my top 5, and probably not a surprise here, Ace of Spades, the 1980 album. Their best-known song, Ace of Spades, right on there. One of the things that Lemmy said in his autobiography was he just wanted to reiterate that Motorhead did not end with Ace of Spades. In fact, very, very far from it. That was 1980. Their last studio album was 2015, so there you go. But nonetheless, Ace of Spades makes my list as one of my top 5 Motorhead albums. Of course, the title song, Ace of Spades, is outstanding. One of my favorite rock songs of all time. Certainly my favorite song on this album. Although Live to Win, The Hammer, a couple other of my favorite songs on that album as well. And that is just your trademark Motorhead sound. They switched back and forth between 3 members and 4 members over the years. A lot of people changed. Lemmy was always there. He always played bass. He always sang. So that was the one consistent part. This album for me, it's truly, again, it's the just really typical Motorhead, the kind of stuff that you love to hear. It's bass driven, it's fast, it's aggressive, it's loud, it's relentless, it's raw. Everything that you want out of Motorhead and the things that we love Motorhead for. This album, similar stylistically and song-wise to a couple of the other albums that were around it, like Overkill, Bomber, Iron Fist. In fact, Iron Fist, the follow-up to this album, very nearly made my list. Ace of Spades edged that one out for a spot on the list just purely because of the song Ace of Spades. That's what pushed that over the edge for me, although I'll say that Iron Fist, the 1982 release, is one of my honorable mentions, so don't neglect that album either. So moving right along there chronologically, I had another one picked as my second one. I'm going to not talk about that for a minute. I'm going to go on to my actual second pick for my list, which is the 1991 release, 1916. Bit of a wild card here, and a little bit of if Motorhead experimented at all in their sound, this was the album with a little bit more different type of songs, I guess I could say. Although they really always have that typical Motorhead sound. Most experimental though. The variety on here is enough to kind of show what they can do when they choose to do other things, although they really didn't choose to do a lot of other things and it really suited them well. So song-wise, you've got Going to Brazil. It's kind of bluesy, it's kind of almost a little rockabilly maybe, but it's a throwback. It's got that Chuck Berry sound to it almost, which Lemmy says is somebody that he was listening to back in the day as well. You've also got, bring my list over to this side here, so a really dark song called Nightmare / The Dream Time, and that's a little bit slower, really dark, almost sounds like it could have been an Ozzy song, and Ozzy is somebody that Motorhead toured with here and there as well. Another slower song, Love Me Forever, that's kind of a grinder. It does have, this album, 1916, does have your typical Motorhead sound, your fast, loud, aggressive songs. The ones that really shine, Make My Day and Shut You Down. Those are two of my favorite songs on here, and that is really what you're going to get with your usual Motorhead sound, so don't worry, the whole album is not a departure from Motorhead. That's there. They also have a great song on here that's kind of a Ramones tribute, and it's actually called Ramones, and it sounds a little bit like if, well, Motorhead played Ramones stuff. It's really cool. It's a great kind of tribute to hear. And Motorhead did a lot of covers here and there. They actually, I think, have an album of covers, but they sneak cover songs into a lot of their albums along the way as well. And then finally, the album finishes up with the title track, 1916, which is a very solemn, quiet, it's a war song. It's about soldiers, maybe from a soldier's point of view. And again, just really, again, showing what Motorhead is capable of, just in case you thought they were a one-note kind of band, even if you love that about them. This album is just, it's so diversified for them, and I love that about this album. Okay, next on the list, chronologically, and here's where a lot of my debate came in. I really like their later albums. I really took it to heart after I read the book where he said Motorhead did not end with Ace of Spades, so I really gave the later albums a real consideration, and I was happy I did because I came up with some great stuff here. So, chronologically, the album from 2000, We Are Motorhead. I love it. See Me Burning is a great one. Slow Dance is a great one. And again, here's another one of the covers where they really shine. They do God Save the Queen, a Sex Pistols song, and they do it well. They really do a great job with their covers, even if you think that maybe Lemmy's voice or Motorhead's sound might not fit a cover that well. It does, surprisingly well. On down the list, Stage Fright, Crash and Burn, and then there's another one on here called One More Effing Time. Slow, ballady, as close to a ballad maybe as Motorhead gets, really. which is fine by me because I don't really enjoy the ballad, the whole ballad term. And then finally, the main reason that this album made the list, other than just the consistency all the way through, is the title song, "We Are Motorhead." And this is, it's my second favorite Motorhead song of any of them. Ace of Spades, number one. We Are Motorhead, number two. So there you go. That's another one. We keep moving on the list here, and it's another song, another album from the 2000s, actually, that makes my top 5 list. It's Inferno. And maybe I saved the best for last here because these next 2 albums are my top 2 Motorhead albums. I know that much. Inferno 2004, what you're getting is a more modernized version of the Motorhead sound. And that doesn't mean that anything has changed or that they have been influenced because they are and always have been the influencers. They are influencers. But it's a more modernized sound. It's a more, I'd say maybe the production was even better. And maybe that's really more of what it is. But either way, this is an album where I absolutely did not have the urge to skip any song on the album. I love this whole album front to back, Inferno. Favorite songs on here, Killers, Fight, Smiling Like a Killer. Those are easily my top 3 songs on the album, although In the Black is a great song as well. And then another kind of, just a little bit of a taste of different things. They do a song called Whorehouse Blues, and that's an acoustic, bluesy, swampy, some harmonica in there, a great acoustic solo in there as well. So just some more things that Motorhead can do, which, if you dig deep, and it takes some real dedication to dig deep into the full Motorhead catalog, but if you do, you'll be surprised at some of the things you get. So again, Inferno 2004, if I had to pick a top 2 Motorhead albums, this is in there, no skips. And then finally, rounding out my top 5, also a no skip album. And this is one that I actually picked, surprisingly, for one of my top 2 Motorhead albums. This is one that made it in at the last minute because I had something else pegged here, but upon an extra listen, this one jumped out at me and pushed that other one off the list. So, 2006, Kiss of Death. Again, no skips on this album. Solid all the way through. This actually pushed out, originally I had 2008's Motorizer album on here. But as I listened again, Kiss of Death pushed that one out and made my top 2. Songs on here that I love: One Night Stand, Devil I Know. There's another one on here, another acoustic, kind of slower. It's called God Was Never on Your Side. And then there's another one, Christine, and then finally Be My Baby. But those are really just highlights. The whole album is fantastic. Rocker from start to finish. Wow, and this was so tough because even now I'm thinking, oh, should I have added that one on? Should I have added this one on? And I guess just to keep things as simple as possible, I'm going to stick with those picks, although now I will go back and give you the honorable mentions on my list that I think you should know, because really as I went through the Motorhead catalog, there were very few albums that I didn't enjoy. There were a couple that I liked a lot less than the others. There were a couple that had maybe 1 or 2 songs that really grabbed me, and the rest I didn't care for. But for the most part, consistent. So, honorable mentions. As I mentioned, Motorizer 2008 almost made my list. In fact, right at the last minute, it got bumped out. Iron Fist, I told you, could have made my list, but got bumped out by Ace of Spades. Originally, when I made my list, also on there was 1983's Another Perfect Day. Again, that whole early batch, that first group of Motorhead albums, any one of them were really pretty good and good contenders, as was Another Perfect Day. But again, the strength of Ace of Spades kind of jumped into that spot. And then finally, 1986, Orgasmatron. Again, just a really solid album the whole way through. A lot of great songs, a lot of standout songs. So close to making my list. Just missed. But again, picking 5 albums out of, 22 studio albums is tough work, especially when that band has been great and consistent the whole way through their career. But that's my take on it. This is a video especially that I would love to hear what you think about it. What are your top 5, maybe even your top 2 Motorhead albums? Give me your favorite ones. Give me your favorite Motorhead songs. Again, I highly recommend this book. If you love Motorhead, this is just like listening to Lemmy tell you a bedtime story. It's a really quick read too, so go out and grab this. I'll hold it up there so you can see again what the title is and the author. Go out and find that. And once again, we'll bring little Lemmy up here. He's going to help me sign off here today. Hope you enjoyed this, especially if you love Motorhead the way I do. And if not, if Ace of Spades is the only thing you know, then really I gave you a good starting point to go out and dive into some more Motorhead and check them out. So again, please let me know what you think, and please subscribe. I really appreciate subscribers. That helps me out a lot too. Like my video if you like it. If you didn't, if you disagreed with me, then please let me know what you disagreed with me on. I love the conversation about that. I have some more great videos coming up soon, but wow, that was a big one to get off my chest. I'm glad I did it, but like I said, it really took a lot of thinking and rethinking and a lot of listening, which was all really enjoyable. So until next time, here is Lemmy, little Lemmy, and we are signing off. Thanks for coming by.